So hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar on PowerPoint. So yeah, we're about to go through my top 10 tips on how to use PowerPoint. So welcome everyone, glad that you can join us this afternoon. Just let me know that you can hear me okay, and let me know where you're from. So if I move the slide forward, you'll see how to do that. So if you're new to Zoom, you should have this sort of control panel up at the top of your screen. If you click on chat, you should be able to send me a wee message, just letting me know that you can hear me okay. And if you have any problems at all with your audio, any problems with your sound during the webinar, if you just click audio settings up here, you should be able to just do a few checks to make sure that everything's okay. Great, so hi Cornelia, welcome to the webinar. Okay, I can see a few other people can hear me okay, so everything seems okay my side. So I'm going to just get started. Thanks everyone for letting me know that the sound seems to work. So you should be able to see the slides and me as well, and I'll be flicking between some slides just to show you where we are in the webinar, and also I'll be sharing my desktop to actually walk you through some of the tips as we talk about them. So to get the most out of today, if you have any questions at all or any comments or anything at all that you want to share with me, just pop it into that chat box. That's how you can communicate with me throughout the webinar today. So just anything at all you want to tell me, just put it into that chat box. And I'll do my best to keep my eye on it as we go through. If you want to practice as we're going along today, then that's absolutely fine. You might want to just minimize your web browser. So you should still be able to hear me, but you won't be able to see what I'm doing, but you'd still be able to hear me, so you can follow the steps through in your own PowerPoint if that helps. If that sounds too complicated, then that's okay, just sit back and watch. After the session, I will email you with a handout which has step-by-step instructions on all of the tips that I'm going to cover so that you can refer to that later. And you'll also get a link to the recording, so you can watch this as many times as you like afterwards as well. Okay, so that'll come later on this afternoon, so stay tuned to your inbox for that. Okay, so PowerPoint, these are the top 10 tips that I'm going to go through with you in the next 40 minutes or so. So let me know just using the chat box if there's anything there that jumps out at you, or if you've got any particular challenges with PowerPoint. Let me know if there's anything on this list that you're really looking forward to seeing. Just type it into that chat box. Now that you've found it, just type it in there and let me know what it is you're most looking forward to. Great, so Carrie's saying design ideas and images. Design ideas is probably my favourite tip of them all, so looking forward to sharing that with everyone just shortly. Okay. And Cornelia says themes, presenter view, equipment. Okay, yep, so managing how to work a projector. So that's perhaps a wee bit out with the scope of this particular webinar, Cornelia, but we will discuss presenter view, and there's a couple of tips about working with projectors in there as well, so hopefully that will help you. So if you've joined us for any of the previous webinars, it's the same kind of format. I'm just going to rattle through the 10 tips, and I'm going to show you on my desktop as well. So I'm going to turn my video off because that just distracts everyone and you'll see my concentrating face. And I'm going to share my desktop instead. So you should now be able to see PowerPoint. I'm using the latest version, so it's 2016, and I'm showing you the Windows version today. Pretty much everything that I'm going to show you will be on the version that you're using from about 2007, definitely 2010 onwards, with just a couple of exceptions that I'll point out as we go through. So my first tip is around the master slide. And this is really, it's the first tip, because if you get this right, the rest will be so much easier. So I'm not sure, does anyone use the master slide? If you do, let me know in the chat box as we're going along. So at the moment, I'm just looking at a sort of normal layout. So hopefully this is fairly familiar to everyone, where I would design my slide over on this side just by clicking on the different elements and typing or inserting images. I've got a sort of preview of my other slides down here. What I can do is switch to master view. So if I go up here to the view tab and go to slide master, it changes the view slightly and I don't see any of my content. I can just see the layouts of my particular slides. And you'll see here that I've inserted my logo onto these slides. So that will then feed through to every other slide that I create from this particular template. So say for example you've created your slide and perhaps you've chosen one of the inbuilt themes or templates, but your logo doesn't quite fit right, or the colours aren't quite right. Well, this is a really easy way for you to make changes. So say for example I had created my PowerPoint, which I have for today's webinar, but I decided that I didn't want to go with a purple title. I wanted to change that colour to red. I just highlight the text and I can go to the Home tab and just change the colour as I normally would. Okay, but when I come out of Slide Master View, just by closing it here, it brings me back to my preview and you'll see that my titles have changed to red here. Should have another one somewhere. Nope, I've used a different format. But that would then, every time I create that full title, it would be red. So in the handout that I'll send you afterwards, it will explain the different things that you might want to use the master slide for. But it's great for if the placeholders on your slide are just too small, or your logo's taking up too much space, you can shrink it down on the master and that saves you having to shrink it down on all of them. Okay, so have a look at the master slide layout. Tip number 2 is around colours. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you create a custom colour palette in PowerPoint, it will actually feed through to Word as well. So this is a really useful thing to do once you've got your sort of brand colours or the colours that your organisation want you to use. Then if you set up a colour palette in PowerPoint, it will work in PowerPoint, but it will also work in Word. So this is something that I really do recommend that you do. And the way to do it is on the Design tab. So in this Design tab, you want to go over here where it says Variants, and you want to click on this wee More button here. It's almost as if they hide it, but it's this wee tiny button here. And then you want to go to Colours. And you see that there are all these inbuilt colour palettes that you can choose from, or you can click Customise Colours. Okay, and by going into Customise Colours, you can then change each of these colours. So if I change that one to, say, that colour, and then click Save, when I go to the Home tab, click on some text, that colour that was, I think, red previously has changed into that sort of burgundy colour. So you can set, by setting your palette in the Design tab, it changes the theme colours here. And also when you go into Word or any of the other Microsoft Office programs and change your colour, you'll be able to choose your own bespoke theme as well. Okay, so that was, just to recap, on the Design tab, it's this tiny wee button here on the Variants group here, and if you click Colours, that's my custom one that I've just created, but you've got all of these other colour palettes to choose from as well. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to use this slide, I think. I'm going to move on to tip number 3, which is design ideas. So once you have inserted a slide and you've perhaps inserted a picture and some text, just stick it anywhere on your slide and then go to the Design tab and click this little icon here, Design Ideas. Now this is pretty new. It only came with a fairly recent update. But what it does is it generates ideas on laying out your slide, just taking the content that you've already put in, and it comes up with different ideas for you, different layouts. So it solves any issues around you resizing the images and things like that. It gives you different ideas so that you can change your slides around a wee bit. So I might like that one. I can just click on it and then it appears, and I can then make some changes to my text if need be. So I'm going to just increase the size of this text here. Yeah, so my slide now looks like that, which is a lot, which is a bit more interesting than what I had before. Carrie says that is brilliant. It sure is, really brilliant. And it makes for really impressive, professional-looking slides quite easily without too much hassle from yourself. So you just literally stick in a couple of images, an image or two, put in some text, and click that Design Ideas button, and it will generate some for you. So some of them are, of course, nicer than others. Some of them work better than others. But it's, a couple of clicks and it's done, so it is brilliant. That is probably my favourite. If you don't have that, it's just because you're using a previous version of PowerPoint, but it is available in both Windows and Mac, so it is great. Okay, I'm going to move on then to tip number 4, which is just working with images. So here's an image here that that I've already inserted. I'm going to just come out of that Design Ideas there. So let me know in the chat box if you're not sure how to insert images. I think most people know how to insert a picture. Yep, everyone seems to know how to do that. You would find it on the Insert tab, and then you've got the choice of pictures, which would be pictures that you've saved on your computer. You've got the choice here of online pictures, so it'll actually browse the internet and allow you to select an image there. You can add a screenshot there, photo album, etc. On Windows, there's an option here to add an icon, and this is quite useful, especially if you're doing slides on sort of instructions or something, and you don't necessarily want images, but you want icons like this. So lots of different icons that you can choose from. And then of course you can change the colour and things of them once you have inserted it. So Cornelia, if you were doing a sort of preparing a flyer for some workshops or something, there's even an arts section for you to perhaps include a paint palette and a paintbrush. So I've clicked insert, and then I can just move them around as it suits. Cornelia, I'm glad you like that. And then of course I can change the colours as well, just by clicking on my colour palette and changing the colours as well. Okay, so icons is a wee bit different from just inserting a picture. Once you have inserted a picture, you'll see that you get a picture format menu or tab available on the ribbon up at the top, and you can click on your image and then you can change the colour. If you wanted to perhaps insert some text over it, you can change the colour to sort of black and white, or grey colour, and then type over it. So yeah, Cornelia is asking an interesting question about image copyrights. So yeah, do make sure that you've got permission to use the image. So if it's an image you've taken yourself, then that's fine, you can use it. The icons that are available within this PowerPoint, you're absolutely allowed to use as well. That's why they're there. Any image that you find on the internet, you need to make sure that you're allowed to use it, especially if you're then charging other people to see it. So if you do a Google image search, just narrow your search results down by license, and you should be able to find an image that's not restricted, so that you can use it. Or use something like Pixabay, which is a great website for free images as well. Pixabay, Pixabay. Really good website for free images, with no copyright issues on those either, Cornelia. So hopefully that helps. The other thing I just wanted to point out about pictures are these, again, preset styles for images. So if you want a frame around it, and again, there's more when you press that wee magic button, or shadows, or something like that, you can select the different options and it just changes the style of the image for you as well. Okay, and that tab disappears as soon as you click out of your image. So click onto your image and that format tab will appear up on the ribbon and allow you to change the sort of layout of it. Okay, tip number 5. I'm going to move on to a blank slide. Tip number 5 is called SmartArt. So I'm not sure, is anyone familiar with SmartArt? Let me know in the chat box if you've used it before. It's available in PowerPoint and in Word as well. And it's a great way of representing text in a sort of visual way. So if I wanted to outline a step-by-step process, I could use bullet points here, and I could type step 1, step 2, step 3. Not very engaging, but it would get my point across. So the alternative is, oops, I don't know what I pressed there. The alternative is to take them out and go up to the Insert tab and choose SmartArt. Okay, it gives me lots of different options about sort of graphics that I can insert. I'm going to go for a process, and you'll see even within the process category there are still lots to choose from. And some of these will allow you to insert pictures. So this one, for example, would allow me to insert pictures in the circles and text where the lines are. I'm just going to go for text just now. I'm going to go for this one. And you'll see that you get a list up at the side here that you can type into, or you can type directly onto the graphic. Produces the same result, so it doesn't matter which one you type in. And then you can just close that, and that's you got your graphic. Easy as that, 1, 2, 3, and that looks much more interesting, doesn't it? Much more exciting than a list of bullet points. I can of course change this, so as soon as I click on it, I get some new tabs up the top here. I get a design tab, which allows me to change the style of it. So I can make it a bit more sort of 3D, and I can change the colours if I wanted to. We'll stick to the sort of burgundy colour. And I can obviously make it smaller or bigger. But the good thing about this is that it makes all the text the same size. It sort of reformats everything, makes the shapes all the same size, and it saves you having to faff around with lining everything up. So really quick and easy way to represent some, processes, lists, things like that in a more graphic way. Great, Carrie says she loves it. That's good, I'm glad. Okay, so that's SmartArt. That's available in Word as well, exactly the same. You can use it in SmartArt. You can use it in Word as well. Okay, I'm going to flick back to, in fact, I'm not going to bother because I've got it in here, so I'm going to just go back to my list of top 10 tips. Okay, so we've done the first 5. So we started off looking at the master slide. So that was if we wanted to reposition the logo, for example, so that it's the same size on every slide, or if we wanted to change text colour or something like that on every slide. The master slide is the view that you would use to do that. The second tip we looked at was colours. So either selecting a different colour palette to work with or creating your own. Tip number 3 was that design ideas button to generate some ideas of laying out your slides a bit different, just with a click of a button. Number 4 was inserting images, and we looked at changing all the different effects when you insert images, and of course the new icons feature, which is quite useful too. And number 5 was SmartArt, where we inserted this graphic at the side here. So we're going to move on now to themes. I'm going to show you some themes, and then I'm going to look at notes, presenter view, and printing and animations, everyone's favourite. Notes, presenting and printing, I'm going to show you sort of, they all link together because you can, well, we'll see it when we get there, but you can add notes and then you can view them in presenter view and print them out in a different way as well. So hopefully that's of interest. So let's move on then to themes first of all. So again, on this design tab, the first set of images you see here are different themes. And so I could just click on one and it would change all my slides into that theme. So you can see that it's changed the fonts because it's based on this new theme here. I could change colours by going to the variants and then choosing a colour palette. Let's see if we can, if we click on this button here, you see all the different themes that are available. And then you just click on the ones that you want. And you'll see that obviously some of them look much better than others. It's not something I use all that often because I prefer to create my own, but there are lots of inbuilt themes that just make your presentation look a little bit more professional or a bit different to how you would design it yourself. So if you're looking for any inspiration, then go to the themes first and choose one, and then change your colours to suit. So that's themes. And again, that's the same in all versions of PowerPoint. Okay, moving on to notes. So does anyone use the notes feature in PowerPoint, or do you tend to keep your notes separate? Let me know in the chat box if you would normally put your notes into PowerPoint or if you would rather keep them separate. So Carrie, you would use notes within PowerPoint. Okay, anyone else? So Cornelia, you'd like to combine them as well. Hazel, what do you think? Okay, not everyone's using the chat box. I'm not sure if there's somewhere else. I'm not seeing any other comments, so that's okay. Oh, Hazel, you've not used it before. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't, and I'll tell you why. So sometimes I use the notes within PowerPoint if I know that I'm going to be able to use the presenter view when I'm actually presenting the slides. When I use something like Zoom, I can if I'm only using slides, but if I'm about to share my desktop as well, then that doesn't work for me. So that's why I usually end up having my notes elsewhere. However, for the most part, if you're just doing a slideshow and it's all just slides, you're not then going to show something else on the screen, then notes work really well. And you'll find them down here. See, it says enter your notes here. And you can just start typing in your notes in this section at the bottom. But what most people find is that that space isn't good, it isn't big enough. So if you just move your mouse above, you can drag it up and make your notes page, make your notes space a bit bigger so that you can type in quite a few notes for each slide. So sorry, Cornelia, it's right down at the bottom here. So normally you don't see much. Normally it's just a tiny sliver down at the bottom. And if you move your mouse down and drag it up, you'll see more space for you to type your notes. So it will be there, it will just be quite a small space. So you just need to make it bigger so that you can type your notes in and actually see them. And the good thing about that is if you use it properly, your audience won't see your notes at all. So it's really just for your own benefit. So let me just show you what presenter view looks like. And of course, I can't show you in real life. I can only show you a picture of it. So here's what it would look like. So the audience would see the actual slide. So the audience would see this part here. In fact, let me, the audience would see this part here only. They wouldn't see any of the black background, but you would see, so they would see this on the projector screen, and you would see this whole black screen on your other monitor. So if you plug your laptop into a projector, usually this is what you would see on your laptop. So you can see the main slide that your audience is looking at. You can also see a wee preview of the next slide. You can see your notes in here. Okay, and I've said, you know, make sure that you space them out well so that you can read them, because you might not be standing that close to your laptop when you're doing your presentation. But this is where your notes would be here. Down at the bottom, you can see, you know, just miniature versions of your slides so that you know where you are in your presentation. So the red outline indicates that I'm here, and I've only got one more to go. A good button to look at is this one up the top here that says swap displays. So if you plug your laptop into the projector, Cornelia, I think it was you that was asking about this, if you plug your laptop into the projector and this gets displayed to your audience, then you want to press that swap displays button so that your audience sees the slide and you see the presenter's view. So that's why notes can be really useful if you're going to be able to see this presenter's view. Any questions on that? That's something that not everyone uses, so if any questions on that, just pop them in that chat box. It lets you know up the top here how long you've been presenting for, and it tells you up here what the actual time is as well. So you know, you can, you know, if there's not a clock in the room, the presenter's view is actually really handy. But again, you need to know about your room layout before you start using that, because if you're going to have to stand far away from your laptop and use a sort of clicker instead, then you're not going to be able to read your notes. So it's always worth having a backup as well. So Carrie says it helps her keep on track. I totally agree with that. It's really handy if you can see it, because then you see where you are on your slide deck. You know how many slides you've got, you know what's coming next. So it makes for a smoother presentation if you can see the presenter's view. So that was tip number 8, using the presenter's view. Tip number 9 is around, oh sorry, Cornelia's asking about the red light. No, that's not an Apple feature or a PowerPoint feature, Cornelia, that's a Zoom feature. So it's because I'm doing this webinar, I've just changed the cursor to a red light just to highlight bits on the screen. So sorry if you thought that there was something else there. Okay, tip number 9, I'm going to put my red light away for now. Tip number 9 is around printing. So you can print, if I just go to File and then Print, as if I was going to print the document. have a choice here of printing full page slides or any of these options as well. So if you do use notes, if you've designed all your slides and entered in notes, you might want to print out notes pages so that if you get to the venue and you can't see the presenter view, at least you've got your notes there all printed out. That's a good one to print. It will print one slide at the top and the notes corresponding to that slide beneath it. The other views, so this one, number 3 here, where you see 3 slides and you just get some blank lines to the right of it. In fact, if I do that, you should see a preview. So if I choose the 3 slides, that's a useful handout for your audience, because they would get a copy of the slides plus space for them to make notes as well. Or you could just give them, for example, 6 slides all on one page if you wanted to cut down the amount of printing. You should see a preview shortly of that. Everything runs a bit slow because I've got too many screens open here, but 6 slides you'd be able to give your audience just the slides without any notes or anything else on it. So lots of different ways that you can print here. Okay, and in Windows, in the very latest version of PowerPoint in Windows, you can click on Export and you can create handouts, which would actually put the slides and your notes into a Word document, which would allow you to make, you know, your normal formatting changes to it. So if that was something that you wanted to do, was to create handouts for your audience, then you could put it into Word, and that's actually easier for you to edit. So you might want your own note, you might want to give audience different notes or to remove some of the slides, and you'd be able to do that in Word. But that's just in the latest version on Windows. It's quite a new feature, but a really useful one. So it will just export everything into Word for you, which is really good. Okay, so my last tip is animations. So let me know in the chat box if you normally use animations when you're doing presentations. Some people love them, some people loathe them. Let me know what you think in the chat box. So Cornelia, no, not yet. Okay, a few of you saying sometimes you use them. Yeah, sometimes it's useful to add a bit of interest, especially if you have bullet points. We all know bullet points can be pretty dull. However, they're one of the necessary evils and are actually a really, you know, still a really useful way of displaying some information. People like lists, so there's nothing, you know, that bad about bullet points, despite the poor press that they get. However, to sort of add a bit of interest, you can add animations. So animations are where there is movement on a slide, so within a particular slide things move, okay, rather than transitions. So if I go up here to the transitions tab and bring back my red dot, if I go up here to the transitions tab, I can use these options here so that when I move from one slide to another, it uses a particular sort of effect. What I'm talking about is animations, and animations are where I might just want to highlight some bullet points, and then I would usually just go for appear, and you see that I get some numbers here. I'm going to click on this animation pane up here, and that will bring the animation pane on the right hand side so that I can see what's animated. And then I can just click on each one and make some changes to it. So if I wanted this slide to display just with the title at the start, and then I want to click on the mouse before the bullet points appeared, then this is what I would do. And it saves you having to duplicate slides and delete text or any of that hassle that some people usually do. Just put in some animations, and that means that, I'm not sure if this will work, but let's give it a go. Yeah, so it means that the audience will see just the blank slide, and then I click the mouse button once, and then these 2 bullet points appear. So let's go back. What I could do is change this one to say start on click. Go back down to my slideshow. So I've just got the heading. I can talk about that for a bit. I can click my mouse once and discuss bullet point number 1, and click again when I'm ready to talk about bullet point number 2. That's the main way that I would use animations. Of course, you can get all sorts of effects. So you could have it flying in, you could have it floating in. And if you click on these buttons here, you've got lots of different options as well. So I could have it bounce in if I wanted to. Okay, and then over here I can change the settings. So I can change the options so that it bounces in by word or by letter. Let's see how that looks. A bit messy, but it adds a bit of interest. Okay, so play around with the different animations that are available and play with the different settings as well. It's all in the handout that I'm going to send you after this webinar. So that was it. That was all 10. So let me go back to the actual slides. And I'll put my video back on as well. So that was all 10 tips on how to use PowerPoint. So let me know in the chat box if there's anything in particular that stood out there, anything that you're going to go away and try. Let me know just using that chat box just now. And I will I'll look forward to seeing lots more interesting slideshows out there. So Carrie's saying design ideas. Design ideas is fantastic, and SmartArt, maybe a bit of animation as well. Okay, looking forward to seeing that. Anyone else, what are you going to go off and try in PowerPoint? Or are you not sure? It's okay if you need to go away and think about it and play with them first, that's okay. Okay, Cornelia, you're going to try a different version of PowerPoint. Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Hazel. That's fine. Okay, so thank you all very much again for joining in today's webinar. Those of you that don't know, as part of Learning at Work Week, for everyone that's taken part this week, that includes everyone here today, you've got free access to the members area of River Park. So just go to the website and sign up as a member, and you've got free access there until the end of July. So have a look at all the different resources that are available there. That includes any other events that are run between now and July as well. So there's a code that members can use to register for webinars without actually having to pay for them. So have a look in there at that, and I'll send you the information on the follow-up email as well. And I think I'm connected. I think I know everybody that's on this webinar, either from previous training or, in fact, yes, I've met everybody in person. So, and I know that I think I'm connected with everybody on social media as well. But if not, then you know where to find me, usually on Twitter or LinkedIn, and sometimes on Facebook as well. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks. Bye.